Welcome back, welcome back. I promised, and I have indeed. I am so pleased to have these ladies, and I'm also pleased to have you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
You have brought two extra ladies, and these ladies here are here to talk about gender-based violence. It's a topic that's been on our lips for quite some time. It goes on back to back. The other day, I remember there was this rugby player who was was murdered. Okombe was murdered the other day, and that's gender-based violence. But let me just introduce the ladies. Roslyn Mkabana, on my immediate left, is a program coordinator. You're the program coordinator, right?
Yes. Yes. Psychosocial and gender for Nairobi County Health Services.
Perfect. You got her. Awesome. And Faith Mwende is the advocacy manager, AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And then again to reintroduce Betty Adera.
Yes, this time as Chief of Party with Global Communities of an Adolescent and Young Women's HIV Prevention Program.
Right, let's go straight into it. What is gender violence? Who will be the first person to talk about this? I'll start with you.
Thank you, Tim. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here with you.
Now, gender-based violence is a form of violation of one's rights, and it comes in all forms. It's not only about sexual. We have emotional, we have physical.
Emotional?
Emotional violence.
Emotional violence?
Yes, Tim, do you have a girlfriend?
Well, not going to name them now.
Yeah, but in the event that she decides she does not want to talk to you, that's a form of gender violence, and it's emotional violence.
So if I go quiet on my girlfriend,
that's emotional violence.
That's emotional violence?
Yes.
Oh, I've learned something today.
Yes, and then we have sexual violence, and then we have child abuse, which is also a form of violence. And of course, the FGM, early marriages, all these are forms of violence, of gender-based violence.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think what distinguishes gender-based violence from all other forms of violence are only two things. One is the violence that comes as a result of the normative expectation on the roles of both men and women in a given context, and also the existence of unequal power relations within the relationship of a man and a woman, or a male or a female, and again as defined within a specific context. For instance, if a context accepts that it is okay for girls to be married off at age 10 or age 8, right? That is a form of gender-based violence as defined within that particular context.
Interesting. Faith?
I would also like to add on and say that gender-based violence is not about women. Many people think it's about the woman has been violated.
Yes.
But both male and female can be violated. Like Betty has said, it is a power issue. So the person in control can violate the rights of another person.
The person in control can violate the rights of the other person.
And that makes the person then be vulnerable. So in a situation whereby people fight in a marriage, and the woman, you hear the stories that the woman beats the husband and she's the one screaming. That is gender-based violence against the man. So we need people to realize that it's not a woman's affair. It is a society issue that we need to sit and look at it deeper. And now look at what are the issues, what are the underlying factors. Like Betty and Roslyn have said, there are many factors around it. Power is and culture is. How do we deal with all this, including modernization and living in an environment with a lot of stress, and dealing with all that and saying we need to have both men and women living well without violating each other's rights and without being violent.
How are men violated now that we've had so much about, well, sorry, ladies. We've had so much about, ladies being violated. I'll start with you, Rose.
I think, Tim, I need to tell you that 28% of men have undergone one form of violence.
28%?
Yes.
I thought it was about 2%.
No. 28%. And for women, it's 49% of women. Looking at that data.
So where is the other one falling under? 40, 28, or rather, my mathematics are not very good. So it comes to 100, right? Yes.
Yes. Looking at that, it's important to note that much as we look at the women aspect of it, of the violence, the men are also undergoing a lot of violence. More so when we have our men who are living with addiction. More so alcoholic,
living with addiction?
Yes, especially alcoholic.
Yeah.
And maybe you come home and, let me give you the example of the Nyeri women. These are hardworking women. The Nyeri.
Interesting.
Yes, these are hardworking women.
Yes.
They wake up in the morning, they go and work. Yet they have left someone in the house who expects that when she comes back, he is supposed to support him. But these ladies have gone, and how are they supposed to be looked at? How is the man, in a marriage, it's supposed to be a two-way affair.
Yes.
But in this situation, you find that it's the ladies who are providing. We were not born to be providers. We were born to be provided for. That imbalance then brings an issue, and that's why you find you're being told that men are being violated.
Stop. Make me understand. My border rider watching the show, I want to speak on his behalf because he wants to understand at what, like, bring this into perspective. Ladies are supposed to be provided for, correct? I agree with you.
Thank you.
So at what point does this man feel violated?
The man will feel violated in the event that he comes home and he doesn't get maybe food, and other matters are not being done the way they're supposed to be.
For example?
For example, the conjugal rights. He is expecting that, yet the woman has been the whole day working.
Yes.
So how will she be comfortable in an environment that the power relations are not balancing?
Power relations?
Yes. Again, you heard what Betty said. Gender violence is just about power.
Gender violence.
Who is who in that power relation?
So if the man keeps his lane and says, I am going to provide for my lady, and the lady keeps to her lane, we will not have this gender violence, is there?
Not really. It also depends on the situation.
Yeah.
It depends on the cultural backgrounds, and it depends on the societal norms, that the way we are seen, what is perceived to be the norm.
Let's talk about, you've talked about the Nyeri woman being a very hardworking person, comes to the house, or rather the man comes to the house and finds, oh dear, they've added an extra potato and they've added water to my food. Whereas where I come from, some conference, the food didn't taste the way I'm getting here. So where does the power play there, Betty?
I think to unpack a little bit around the unequal power relations, it occurs this way. In a relationship where one party, regardless of whether it's the man or the woman, has some power or some advantage undue to him or her over the other. For instance, if you're having an employer and an employee, that's a power relation right there. The employer is, higher than the employee because the employee has to do certain things in order to get, money from their employer.
Yes.
If you look at a parent and a child, that's a power relation there. The parent is more powerful by virtue of being the provider of this one. Yes. All right. Now, if you look at a relationship between a man and a woman,
that's what I
now
want to get
zeroing in on it, you can find that in the event that the man is the one providing, as expected in most African contexts, all right, the man is expected to be here, to be the tough one, to be the provider, to be the protector, and raise a family with this woman. So this woman is expected to be the submissive one, to be the one to receive, from the man, and the one to bear the children and all that. Culturally, that's how we are set up.
Things have changed.
And things have changed. So the unequal power relation come in this way. You find that in quite a number of cases, that equation gets toppled like that. You can get now in a relationship between husband and wife, the wife is actually the provider, is the one who's bringing in the the income.
The bread, yes.
The bread, all right? And the man is, for whatever reason, the receiver of this bread. In that particular relation, there's a power, an equal power relation right there.
Or maybe
Now,
one feels, yeah, you know what, the other day I just got a promotion with the bank. I'm able to come in as a provider.
Yeah. So then the violence come in this way. You might find that in the case that it is the man who is being violated, all right, by this woman, I mean, it happens for a variety of reasons. Some women complain that now you're leaving me to be the one to provide. Some say that what are you doing with the family resources? Yeah. Some come in to accuse, each other of all manner of infidelity type of stuff. And some even accuse the other of, we're trying to struggle so much in this family to bring in income, and you're taking it and drinking it. You're drinking all of it, or you're using all of it in other relationships outside of the family. Yeah. So the violence then, you find that is meted on the man in that particular analogy, whereby the woman can actually beat up the man, can throw things at him, can lock him out, can deny
him out?
Oh, yes. Can deny him conjugal rights. And that is a violence against that man. That is completely unacceptable. The way it would be unacceptable if it was, done, the
other way around.
The other way around. Violence is violence. And I'm thinking, what I want to also just reiterate there is that gender-based violence, whether it is perpetrated by man or woman, is actually a human rights violation. Yes. It poses public health challenges, education challenges. We just talked about that this morning. Yeah. And it brings about a barrier on the part of the survivor to participating in his or her civic duties. The person then cannot participate the right way insofar as socio-economic and political engagement is concerned.
Faith.
Well, just to add on the same, again, when you look at issues around violence, you're asking again, how can a man be violated? It goes again to understandings. If the perception that the man has is that you feel that you're superior to me because you've got a promotion, you feel that you're superior because you provided, then in that case, that misunderstanding might result into violence. And actually most of the violence you find that, especially in the family setting, is about understanding. People are in different pages, and that brings a conflict. But again, I would also like us to also look at situations that maybe because of social media and having free spaces to communicate, people are almost normalizing violence. Yeah. You hear things like, actually, we've read so much in the newspapers and heard in TV that girls in class 8 were pregnant, and this number of girls in the school got children. That is defilement. Yes. The fact that this is an underage girl, that she slept with someone. In most cases, this is a person who's violated this girl because she was defiled. So we need to go beyond the story, beyond the girl being pregnant. What happened? She was all cases, she was defiled. And so she may not have had that power to negotiate what leaves that girl at. Even boys, we've had a lot of stories of sodomy, and people normalize it that it's a discussion. You'll hear people casually talk about rape. I think as a society, we need to look at gender and sexual violence and look at it with the magnitude that it is. If it is an underage girl who is pregnant, then she was violated. If it is a boy who was sodomized, let us not laugh about it and say, no, you're a man, you should be macho. Yeah. No, that is a violation. That's right. That person should be supported through the systems. So there's a big challenge also in how we normalize and take things as normal, laugh over things. And actually you find that in social media, a person can say, I'm so mad with her, I feel like raping her. That is so wrong. We should not use the word rape casually because it is a violation of human rights.
It's so wrong.
It is so wrong.
It is so wrong. I mean, it peeves me completely. In fact, another thing that I am so mad at, let me just put my emotions on the table. This lady last week, the violence that happened in the homecoming for this guy, I felt so... So bad.
That's a classic case, team.
Even before, let me just define it for my viewer. This lady who had her M-Pesa shop vandalized, and then by these demonstrators, that's the story we're talking about, right? Yeah, tell me more.
I think I just wanted to bring to light, now that you say it,
the
whole concept of weaponization of rape.
Yes.
Meaning rape is now being used in most contexts under a political upheaval like the one we're having right now, as a weapon against someone who you feel you are aggrieved at. Or because somebody has annoyed you somewhere else, how do you vent that off? And that ventilation off cannot be complete except there's an act of rape. That woman last week was not only gang raped, but when the guys were done with the act, they actually chopped off her breasts. Yes. They cut off her breasts. They tore her breasts, apart. And when she was visited, I mean, of course, she's in this state, she can't talk, but her brothers are speaking for her. And what her brothers are saying is that the opposition leader needs to give us guns so that we go and also revenge what has been done to our sister. Anything short of a gun for revenge, they didn't want to hear about it. So one story of one woman, has sparked a whole lot of debate around how should we, redefine how we conduct our protests that should be peaceful.
And also, Tim, I would also want to reiterate that even our own government, it needs to acknowledge that these vices have happened.
They did yesterday.
That's too long a time.
I know.
When it comes to issues of violations.
Right.
Looking at what we go up, when we go around looking at our data, and in terms of what it's going to cost the family of that lady in terms of medical, we are talking about not less than 2.2 million. We are talking about loss of productivity for this country. We are talking about loss of time, visits to hospital, issues to go to the police, reintegration back to the society.
That's right.
This is going to cost our country a 1.1 GDP. That is loss of production.
That's right.
What are we looking at? Where are we going? Do we want to look at sexual violence and normalize it and say it is like any other condition that can be taken into consideration? We have an issue with our country, issues of counseling are yet to really take that very good form and say that we shall be able to provide psychosocial care. Where do we want this family to go? This lady will go back to her community. How is her reintegration process? How is the family going to cope with wherever they were? Her M-Pesa shop is closed. For God's sake, why are we using rape as a weapon of power? Why are we normalizing rape in terms of protests? And I keep asking myself, as a human being, how a man, you're walking in the streets, or even a police officer can actually put his gun down, remove his trouser, go ahead and rape a 4-year-old.
Oh dear.
Because we did have such a case. We are trying to see how best can we handle these cases. Is our country looking at a situation of supporting us in ensuring that these violations are actually stopped, and we sit down and say rape is a national disaster, and have the police force actually have a special unit for us to be able to struggle with issues of rape? We need IG to come on board.
Yeah.
I do.
We need him to commit.
Yes.
What very quick thing, apart from just getting AG on board, because AG is not going to come to my house, he's not going to come to my hood, he's not going to come to my estate, but we know that there is a gentleman. We know there is, you've talked about social media. We know people who type and say, you know what, I am going to, rape this, I don't know how to express in that way, but you've talked about such cases. What do we do? These people are right here with us.
Part of why we are here as a team
and
working with Betty and Faith is because they have the capacity to support the county governments in ensuring that we have programs that are providing advocacy from the community level, providing capacity building to our service providers, ensuring that they are the voice of what maybe us as a county government cannot be able to do. They are the voice of the advocacy, in terms of advocacy, in terms of capacity building, in terms of providing funds for us to be able to have these activities. We need to come from the community level.
From community level.
Yes, they need to know, sorry for that, they need to know where the referral pathway is. A survivor reports, goes to the chief. Will this chief, the way we put it in quotes, kesi inamaliziwa chini ya maji? Ama chief akona sense ya kujua this case has to be referred. These people have to go and report.
That's right.
From reporting to the health facility,
yes.
What are the steps that are taken? Where is the legal issues coming from? Where are the access to justice going? After that, is this survivor going back to normalizing medical care? All these are issues that we want followed up.
Faith, tell me about, since you're in advocacy, tell me about this 16-day gender activism. What is it about?
We are from the 25th of November through to 10th of December.
10th of December?
Yeah, those are 16 days. So
yes.
They are called the 16 days of gender activism.
Tell me about it.
So in the 16 days, there's a calendar of activities that globally different governments and organizations are working on. In Nairobi County, we also have our calendar of activities. From the launch itself, which will be on the 25th, we have an activity in Dandora where we also speaking against gang rape. And we are really happy because that is an activity which has been organized by young girls from Dandora. And they're saying that gang rape is not normal. We need to deal with this. The big activity that we are having within the county is the silent protest. And this is an...
silent protest?
Silent protest. This is an activity that was started by AIDS Healthcare Foundation in the year 2009. And we are really happy that it's grown. We started the first activity in Kenya last year. So what we are doing is sensitizing the public. Like Roslyn has said, it needs every man, woman, boy, girl to understand that violence is violence and it should not be normalized. The moment we allow small children to fight, we are planting a seed. So we want to start from that community level, sensitize people on what sexual gender-based violence is.
That's right.
As we sensitize them, also make sure that we inform them of the importance of with any person who's gone through gender violence, especially rape, they need to go to a health facility within 72 hours, and they need to understand why then do you follow all these processes. And during the silent protest, we will have a march and a rally, and we will also have services provided, legal aid clinics for people to understand what is it, what are the processes you take. For people who have maybe gone through violence and they didn't know what to do, that is an avenue to get legal aid.
Right.
We will also have cervical cancer screening. We will have other reproductive health services provided, including HIV testing, because we know there's a relationship between sexual violence and the increase of HIV. The vulnerability of being in the violent, going through violence pre-exposes a person to HIV. So we will have all this ongoing, service provision ongoing, at the same time have a rally where we are bringing on both political leaders, technical leaders, and the community in Nairobi to meet together, meet at archives and talk in one voice. And one of the deliverables for us would like to have safe places for people. Because when you look at the situation we are in, when child is raped by her father, and she goes through the system, she goes to the police and goes to the hospital.
Yes.
Do we expect her to go back home as the court is going on in courts?
That's mental torture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because of the magnitude of the case, this girl is going to be emotionally unstable being at home.
That's true.
And that's why, like Roslyn had said, that many of these cases don't get to an end because people are not stable. So for us, that is one of the things that would really like to get commitment from both religious leaders, organizations working in Nairobi County, and the national government to have safe places for survivors to go to. And obviously, yes, we are going to learn a lot during that day. It's going to be on the 6th of December.
My commitment is to request the county government of Nairobi, because we know during the last county leadership, They had passed a bill and had said that they would build a shelter for Nairobi County. We need this shelter to go on. We are requesting the current county government that has come on, we need to have this shelter as fast as yesterday. We need the county government to support programs in terms of budgeting, to ensure that our county leadership is responsive in terms of issues of gender violence, to understand and commit to it.
And that's for all governors?
Yes, that is all for all
Across the
governors, and
country.
we expect our first ladies also to take it up as a cause.
Yes.
And we are praying that our first lady will be able to also join us during this 16 days and just support us. Take it up as a cause. Let it be what they can be able to support us in, visit our facilities. And it's also good just to note that our private facilities are also coming on board to be able to support services for survivors of gender-based violence without payment. And I'm happy to recognize a facility like Mater Hospital and Coptic
Nairobi
and Nairobi Women's that are doing a very commendable job.
That's true.
Integrating HIV and GBV services is now our core service, because we want all public facilities to be able to provide these services.
Wonderful.
That's where we are having organizations like what Betty is having to be able to support us in this. Yeah.
Betty, your name's been mentioned again.
And thank you, Rosemary and Faith, for that acknowledgement. I think going forward, like, where do we go from here? We need to, first of all, appreciate that one of the reasons as to why we have not quite tackled the gender-based violence issue is because if we cannot report it, we cannot fix it.
If we cannot report it, we cannot fix it.
The statistics that Rosemary has just shared, those are statistics of the reported. But I can bet my life that there are so many other cases of gender-based violence on men, on women, on girls that have gone, unreported. And I'm thinking interventions to help curb this, first of all, need to think that if you're only doing responding, you're only waiting until it has happened, is when you come in to deal with it, you will be responding forever. If you only do prevention, all right, you can be sure that you are going to miss this young girl right in front of you who is a survivor. So response needs to embrace both preventive and responsive, and above all, include men and boys, especially in the case of violence against girls. We need to bring this matter to the fore. We need to make people aware just of how bad the scenario and the statistics really are, and really petition each and every Kenyan, whether you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're a pastor, you're a media personality,
That's
you're
right.
a development worker,
Yeah.
you're a government worker, whoever it is that you are, you have a responsibility at doing something about a gender-based violence in your space.
All right. That conversation is going to go on after this. If you want to keep that conversation going, please, as always, you can send me a line, NewDayKE, hashtag NewDayKE. You can tweet me and I'll be in a position to put your thoughts out there. Gender-based violence and the 16-day, what do you call it?
16 days of gender
16 day of gender activism. Be part of that. Very quickly, where do I get that information online?
We're tweeting?
Yes, we are tweeting hashtag silent protest KE17. And the event itself is going to be on the 6th of December. You can get more information from AIDS Healthcare Foundation, Global Communities, and the Nairobi City County.
And the Nairobi City County. Hashtag silent protest KE17. KE17. You got that one right. Get the conversations going there, and we'll be able to have a meaningful discourse. My time is up. Yep, it is up. My name is Tim Jiru. I have been super delighted to have you ladies. You guys are amazing.
You're welcome.
And
We
thank you
can
for
just do
hosting
one.
us.
We're saying in unison, we're going to unite the country. So we hold hands
Oh, yeah.
and unite the country. So wherever you are, hold hands and unite the country. All right. Right. We do it again tomorrow, same time, 7 to 9. Get the questions to us, and we'll get to ask the questions right here on this table. I am going to do my usual, flop my newspapers, and leave you with this one simple line. Don't stop until the job is done. Kwaheri, and a good day to you. Bye.